Hi guys, welcome to Office Blokes React. I'm Ronnie Pickering.
I'm Office Bloke Mike.
Office Bloke Daz.
Collectively, we are Ronnie Pickering and the Office Blokes.
Who?
Ronnie Pickering!
Who?
Ronnie Pickering! That's a very current and relevant thing for us to be talking about in the 8 years later. Kidnapping these SAS soldiers was a bad idea.
Yeah, not a good idea.
Why would you?
Not really
for starters,
any soldier is a good idea.
Not really.
Not when they're trained.
They tend to be able to handle themselves, don't they? So,
do you think this is going to be on patrol or on, like they're out there doing their jobs?
During war.
Yeah. There's not always during war, is it? With like they can be on...
Yeah, but I
can't remember the word for it.
But it could be on a mission or an assignment.
yeah.
Or
maybe.
on holiday for a couple of weeks.
No, I don't
hostile.
think that's it. I think this is during like a conflict.
Right.
And they've been taken hostage, by the enemy.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
It's just the phrase kidnapping sort of implies, it'd be they'd be prisoners of war, wouldn't they? If it was during a conflict.
It depends who kidnapped you.
True. Yeah.
If the government kidnapped you, or whether just some...
Yeah, you wouldn't have thought you'd kidnap soldiers, or would you?
You'd take them as prisoners.
You think it'd be more if they were in civvies, in civilian sort of like outfits, then they might kidnap them, not knowing that they're soldiers. That's how I see it.
They might have been.
That's how I'd see it anyway.
I don't think they kidnapped them looking like that.
No, that's what I mean. That's exactly.
Otherwise, they're shit SAS soldiers.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's a fair point. I don't know anything about this, though. That may be obvious by what we've just been saying.
Yeah.
I don't remember it being in the news or anything. Let's get into it, though. Yep. Let's find out. So, kidnapping these SAS soldiers was a bad idea.
When the soldiers of the British Tier 1 SAS unit stared at their television screens in Iraq in 2005, they could not believe their eyes. The footage on local news channels showed two of their comrades, badly battered, tied to a chair, their faces exposed for all the world to see. Allegedly, the two elite warriors had murdered a policeman and were now to be brought before an Iraqi court, with the worst probably yet to come. For the men of the SAS, it was clear. No matter what happened in the coming hours, they would not leave their brothers to the mercy of the enemy under any circumstances. A plan to free the hostages was hatched. However, the British government suddenly seemed not to care about the lives of their own soldiers anymore, and the whole rescue mission was on a knife's edge. What followed next was a struggle between the SAS soldiers fighting for the lives of their comrades and the political leadership, who were completely oblivious to the situation on the ground. It all began on September 19, 2005, when the operators Campbell and Griffiths were conducting an undercover mission in the Iraqi city of Basra. Disguised in civilian clothes, they drove around the country in an inconspicuous vehicle to shadow a corrupt police chief who had connections to terrorist organizations. This was not just any mission, but an official cooperation with the famous British intelligence service MI6. After the SAS soldiers had gathered enough information and were about to leave the city, they ran into an Iraqi checkpoint. Only a few days earlier, British soldiers had already arrested another police mastermind, and the atmosphere between the two parties was correspondingly tense. To prevent the situation from escalating even further, the highly trained soldiers initially tried to talk their way out of it. But when the Iraqi police officers refused to calm down, and suddenly even tried to drag them out of their vehicle, the operators wouldn't take it anymore. They opened fire, wounding two of the attackers, and stepped on the gas. A wild chase through half the city ensued until the soldiers realized that they could never get away on their poorly motorized undercover car. Once again, they tried to resolve the situation diplomatically, laying down their weapons and getting out of their vehicle. However, the Iraqis beat up the soldiers and dragged them to a prison in Basra, where they forwarded their pictures to a news agency. When the soldiers from the 22nd SAS Regiment in Baghdad saw the footage of their comrades, they immediately moved to Basra and prepared for an imminent hostage rescue. Campbell and Griffiths, meanwhile, took advantage of their excellent training, which had prepared them for situations like these. They gave the kidnappers just enough information to keep them alive, but didn't reveal major secrets. Soon their comrades would burst through the door, kill all hostage takers, and free them. Or at least that's what they thought. Because while the captured SAS soldiers were fighting for their lives, their commanders weren't reaching anyone to authorize the rescue mission.
Bullshit, that.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Weird.
Politicians for you, isn't it? It's going to be... No one's going to want...
vaguely remember this, at the time.
I don't remember.
Well, I'm not sure if it came out at the time, but, sort of later.
Nothing struck me in memory yet to think, oh, yeah.
No, but you can see politicians not wanting to attach their name to this. But this is in the height of the Iraq War, isn't it?
You got to get them out.
2005.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit unsure why... Because Iraq fell quite quick and then it was an insurgency, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But this is still between the Iraqi government and the British government.
Yeah. You get them out no matter what. So it's the highest order. Maybe
the thought was there's some sort of diplomacy needs doing, because technically we're fighting insurgents, we're not fighting the Iraqi government at this point. And it's the government that have taken them. I'm just speculating based off the year.
Guess we'll find out.
But yeah, the politicians have got to get stuck in there and give the green light, haven't they?
Of course they have,
Go and get you guys.
Absolutely.
Order was to simply do nothing so as not to escalate the situation further. Any political entanglements were more important to the superiors than the lives of 2 British soldiers. The leaders of the SAS did not give up, but even the general in charge in England didn't answer his cell phone. And soon the soldiers in Iraq were joking that he had switched it off because he was playing golf. In the meantime, the American forces had deployed a surveillance drone over the prison and even offered a squadron of their own Delta Force soldiers to carry out the hostage rescue.
Mad.
The British are...
You can imagine the SAS response to that.
Yeah.
Do you want us to send our Delta guys in so you can get you?
We'll get your guys out for you.
We'll sort this mess out for you, lads.
Yeah, they'd be delighted with that, wouldn't they? Really.
Wow. Should have gone in together.
Yeah.
Be a bit of fun, wouldn't it?
The hostage rescue. The British appreciated their allies' gesture, but wanted to get their guys out themselves. After all, it was not due to the SAS's lack of motivation or willingness, but simply to indecisive leadership that a rescue mission had not yet been initiated. The then Colonel John Lorimer, commander of the 12th Mechanized Brigade and former paratrooper, finally took the initiative despite the lack of command and sent his men to the prison. The tanks made their way through the narrow streets of Basra and set up a security perimeter around the complex, but initially had no permission to storm the buildings. After Campbell and Griffiths were portrayed on television as enemy spies, thousands of people gathered around the police station and tried to break through the British perimeter. Molotov cocktails hailed down on the tanks and their crews, who were completely at a loss without clear orders. Occasionally, there were even exchanges of fire. As a last attempt to resolve the matter diplomatically, the British sent 2 officers to the prison, but they were immediately captured as well. The situation continued to escalate, and the SAS soldiers had to watch from a distance as the window for a hostage rescue closed more and more. A stroke of luck would still give them a chance, and one chance was all the highly trained men needed to save their comrades. In fact, the chaos outside the prison gates had become too hot even for the hostage takers, and so the corrupt policemen decided to hand Campbell and Griffiths over to Iraqi militia. Aware that drones were overhead, they put dishdashes on the elite soldiers, long Arab shirts that made them indistinguishable from civilians from the air. The lone British Sea King helicopter circling over the prison and relaying the situation on the ground to headquarters could have easily missed the hostage handover. But something made the crew take a closer look at the small cluster of people at the edge of the prison. When it became clear that the prisoners were just being loaded into a vehicle, the SAS was back on the scene. While the helicopter relayed every movement of the hostages and their captors, the Special Forces tailored their plan to free them. The militia placed Campbell and Griffiths in a nearby hideout, and for the British soldiers, the time to attack had finally come.
That was, in hindsight, a stupid move to remove them from the prison, wasn't it?
Well, they've handed them over to the militia. It's not their problem anymore, is it?
Yeah, that's it.
I guess
they eliminate the problem that's outside because it's growing problems outside.
Yeah, that's right.
I wonder if there was some political intervention at this point,
Possibly.
where it was like if they are essentially allied governments at this point or seem to be cooperating, you can't hold these guys, otherwise it's a political issue.
Maybe, yeah.
So then they go to the militia. But getting them in a car and then putting them somewhere that isn't a prison, the SAS thrive on this sort of stuff.
Yeah,
going and doing extraction missions and stuff in this scenario.
Exactly.
So it's suicide for the militia, isn't it?
I don't think the SAS are going to do it.
You don't?
No. I think it's the US Delta Force, whatever it was.
Maybe. Maybe.
Interesting.
We're dicking about.
The tanks in front of the police station broke through the prison walls, rolled over vehicles, and allowed the infantrymen to successfully free the captured British officers. One of the tank drivers later commented that it was the best day of his life. Meanwhile, the SAS soldiers raced toward the militia safe house, which fled in the face of the fearless warriors, leaving their hostages behind. Simultaneously, the operators blasted their way through the doors and windows of the hideout, cleared the building, and freed their comrades without encountering any resistance. The relief and joy on both sides was enormous, but from a political perspective, the incident was far from over. As it turned out, the SAS had acted independently, and the order to attack was only meant for the forces outside the prison. The elite warriors had simply not seen fit to gamble with the lives of their comrades any longer, and had made the decision to attack on their own. According to some sources, there were even indications that the hostages were about to be executed, and the soldiers had saved their brothers from certain death. After everything had cooled down, the British leadership subsequently authorized the hostage rescue. However, many SAS soldiers suspect that this only happened because the rescue mission was a success. Any complications would have likely left them at the mercy of the press and military courts. However, the operators had tuned all of this out at the time of the raid because neither the end of their careers nor the possibility of being in the dock could deter them from rescuing their comrades. A brotherhood that no one else could ever understand. If you've made it this far, thanks for watching.
Nice.
We have a lot of fun creating new videos for you.
That was a great
Yeah.
video.
Yeah, really good.
I had a feeling there they were just going to call it off and say you can't do it, and then
Right.
another regiment will come in and take over and just go, we'll do it, we'll deal with it.
I think I'm always suspicious with these sort of things where no one would sign off on it, so they took it upon themselves to go. It's almost like someone has gone, I can't do this for you lads, but you go and do it.
Yeah.
You know,
Really
unofficial.
Unofficially sort of thing. Yeah, a lot of it's all political, isn't it? It's obviously it was again here, wasn't it? Which is why they didn't want to go in the first place.
You don't get more political than kidnapping some of our soldiers and some officers.
Yeah,
so.
you can't also authorise get the officers out, but don't get the SAS guys out.
Well,
We're only authorising a portion of it.
Yeah.
It's go and get them all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think probably some of it is to do with being undercover as well, and probably they didn't want coming out what they were undercover for, sort of thing. Maybe, you know, there's always when people are undercover, there's always reasons why.
Yeah,
governments want to keep it quiet.
Yeah,
so maybe that was part of it, where they were initially a bit, sceptical about going in.
It sounded to me like the person in charge couldn't get access to him to make the decision.
Maybe
is what they were saying. That's what they're all after. They were saying, he's had his phone switched off playing golf. They were joking about it.
Yeah,
but whatever reason he wasn't giving that go ahead, and then probably the next in command's just going to do it.
Like an hour or two in situations like that can make all the difference.
Minutes,
death, isn't it?
Minutes.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think there's got to be an element of plausible deniability when the special forces are involved.
Yeah.
You know, like higher ups giving a wink to people, but
on
an
the hierarchy,
official,
on the record, they didn't give the go ahead sort of thing.
And that's why allegedly people take leave from the special forces, don't they? You know, like a couple of month period where they've been in Africa doing something, but they're not working on official capacity for the government. Allegedly, I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about.
But you see, I imagine one of them, or both of them guys from the SAS who were captured, I imagine there was a few shouting matches going in some people's offices when they got back.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'll bet, yeah.
I bet there's a few rumbles going on.
There'll be a few people that won't be very, very happy about that at all.
Yeah, it was a good video. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, really good.
Hope you guys enjoyed it too. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll catch you on the next one.
Cheers.